Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So, if you've been following my channel for a long time, you'll know about a pretty serious crash I had back in like 2012, which makes this November the 11th anniversary of it happening. And I made videos at the time. I covered all the surgery and all the stuff that I had to go through at the time, and it wasn't a great time to go through all that at all. However, it did teach me some things, and it's only probably in more recent years that I've really learned the things that it taught me. So that's why I'm making the video of what my crash taught me. Now, to explain the basics, if you don't know about the crash, basically, I was going along a straight road like this. There was a car stopped in the middle of the road that wanted to turn into the left-hand side. I was riding towards them thinking, oh, I'll go past them, and just as I got up to them, they pulled out, and I went straight into the side of them. The outcome of this was I was pretty banged up. I had to have an operation on my hand, which has never recovered and still hurts to this day. It's one of the reasons I put my hand like this on bars a lot, and people think that it's weird, but there's a reason for it. And also my foot, I had to have an operation on that 18 months after the crash, because basically they didn't do x-rays in the right places, and I walked around for 18 months on a broken foot. Seriously broken foot. It was not good. So I ended up losing another 4 months or so after that operation, like 18 months after the first crash and operation and recovery. So it basically meant I lost about 2 years work in 4 years. But it was in gaps because of the ongoing recovery times. I've still got a lot of pain issues and nerve damage to this day. A few other bits which probably got hurt in the crash and are now showing signs of wear and tear rather early, like my right shoulder. So that's that. But it taught me a lot. And one of the most important things it taught me is what I've talked about recently. This whole thing of just holding back a few percent can make you a lot safer. Someone recently asked me, like, I'm a new rider and I've had a few near misses, and I just want to understand, like, you seem to ride around all the time and you don't have any near misses of people. They've even got all these, incidents of road rage and stuff. Did in the early days. It's because I didn't learn. And I even made a video called How to Avoid Near Misses, which goes into more depth on that side of it. But as I say, this whole thing of holding back 10% to make yourself 90% safer is such a thing. And you also think about crashes differently and doing things differently. Just because you have the right of way, do you really want to be hurt that badly? And after you've been through a crash, like the one I had, or people have had much worse that I've spoken to, so it must be more severe for them, You don't think, oh no, I'm going to get hurt, this, that and the other. You just think it's going to be a major ball ache. All of the paperwork, all of the legal work, going backwards and forwards to the doctors, having problems with not earning enough money, like the whole thing sucks. And the actually being hurt and your bike being broken is kind of the most secondary thing to all of that. And that comes into play when you're on the road, not getting super close to people, keeping your distance, giving yourself extra space, not worrying about right of way. Well, I mean, you should obviously follow the rules of the road. That's how you are predictable, and that's how, people know what you're going to do. And if other people did the same thing, we'd all be a lot safer. But, as I've said, being right and under a truck is still a bad thing. Just because you have priority of way, that's not right way, that's priority of way, doesn't mean that you should just go and, they have to stop. It's annoying when people do stuff like that, but it's just easier to just let things go, get away from these other people. It's like, someone cuts you up and you get mad about it. Should you go and chase them down? No, because you're now chasing down someone who was already shown their inability to drive around a bike. Just keep away from them. And if you get angry, if you get reactive, well then it's time to sit and think about that. Try and maybe build in a little structure for yourself that you don't go off the hook and fly after someone and scream at them or smash their mirror off, which is only going to make things worse for every other biker on the road and yourself. A lot of it is also dropping the bravado. The way that people seem to have this sort of bravado about bikes, about the fact that I'm in a bike, I'm hard as nails, and get out of my way, I have a right of way. I do understand to a point being defensive and holding your own, because I am vulnerable on a machine and I have inherent rights from cars around me to not drive at me and, hurt me. But at the same time, as I've said, you can't act like you're some indestructible thing, because you aren't. You very, very, very much are not. You're a squidgy human, and even a 30-mile-an-hour crash into the side of a car will change your life. Thankfully for me, those life-changing things are irritating and a bit painful at times. That's it. It's not actually changing my life. Although kneeling is a problem and always has been since the crash. I also have a few rules which I follow very stringently, and I have videos talking about this if you want to search through my older stuff, but I'll give you one which is the most important in my opinion. Never go faster than the distance that you can see and stop in. In other words, don't go flying into a corner at like 80 when you don't know what's on the other side of it. Hold back a little bit, because those are the scenarios when people get much more hurt, because they're going far, far too quick and they don't see what's coming, and it's the equivalent of just riding into a brick wall but you didn't see the brick wall coming. It's not great, and I don't advise it. Other people will say things like, imagine that everyone on the road is out to kill you, but I just don't know how people apply that necessarily sometimes. Alakazam. Like a magic. I need fuel really badly. I forgot to actually fill my bike up. I'm currently up to 92 miles, and I know this bike will most likely run out of fuel in the next 5. And ordinarily I would not use Tesco's fuel, but in this instance I don't have a choice. Keep it a bit more reasonable, think more ahead, and as I say, people say that thing of like, imagine everyone's going to kill you, but that's not what you're supposed to do. Sit in a corner and set yourself up and hide there? Like, no, it doesn't help, because you need to talk about physical things you need to do, like the gap leaving, like proper observations, like practicing emergency stops, because how often do you do that? I do it all the time. I've got a video talking about doing it if you want a few more tips or a refresher or something, but being able to emergency stop your bike in a controlled way is a massively important skill that most people don't practice. The other thing I'd say is, when you get insurance, get the legal cover side. It's normally only an extra 25 quid, but to have a lawyer automatically there who's going to work on your side, who has access with your insurance company, it just smooths everything out loads more. And I'm talking about in the sense of if you make an injury claim, because if you're on a bike and you get hurt and you're not at fault, you probably will be making an injury claim, because you're going to lose work, you're going to lose money, you're going to be hurt, and you're going to need that to pick you back up from what you've lost. I could list off a load more bits and pieces you can do while riding, but they're just generalised riding safety things that I've made videos on before in my Tips for New Riders playlist. Check it out if you want to learn some more bits and pieces. But as I say, the most important thing is that holding back a bit, realising that right and dead is still dead. Just really analyse the way you ride. Now, this is easy for someone like me, because if I record all the time and, you know, I do something that ends up being dumb, I can look back at that and realise where I went wrong. Or, you know, if I ever reacted to a situation, I'm going to have seen myself. I can't, you know, most people can't look back and see how they reacted and go, do you know what? Probably over the top a bit, wasn't it? It probably wasn't as bad. And I don't even necessarily mean, like, you know, you acting out, because I don't tend to do that, because they're in cars and I'm a squishy person on a bike, but how mad I get about it, or how much it annoys me. I've come to accept that, you know, a lot of people are just bad at driving. It's quite a normal thing. Humans are very bad at some things, and it seems like driving's a common one with many. But I think that's also because people, when they drive, don't aim to push their skills further and further, which is something I think bikers should do. I do it. It's like the slow control that I talk about on bikes. So many people's slow control skills are so underdeveloped, to the point they can't do something quite simple, but they can rip a wheelie up and do 140 mile an hour. You know, you could ask some of these people to do a full lock turn on the road and they wouldn't be able to do it without dragging their feet around. I mean, it should be simple. It should be so easy for everyone to be able to just... But apparently, that is not that easy to many. And I know you're going to say, oh well, you're doing that on a DRZ, it's super light and easy. I've done it on my XJ6 and I've done it on a BMW R18 in a car park. A little bit of slow control. Can be done, but you need a massively long arm.
This is definitely I'll bet the balls, isn't it?
But yeah, that's a lot of it. Also, like, knowing about conditions this time of year, I normally make a video warning people about the fact that it's autumn. You know, we're used to it being sunny and nice, but you don't necessarily expect to come around a corner like this and find it's all wet, covered in mud and leaves and mush and stuff, because it rained yesterday, but that bit hasn't dried out, but the rest of it has. You come unstuck on those sorts of things, and that's where, if you can't see them around the corner, you don't know what the conditions are going to be. You don't know if there's going to be a person there or not. As you can see, again, I'm just going into generalised riding tips, so I'm going to stop here, but that is my point. Having crashes is bad, not just because you don't want to crash, but because it just sucks in every possible way. But all the stuff that comes after the crash is worse than the crash and more painful. I think pretty much everyone could, you know, take a minute to think about their riding, assess what they do in certain situations, and think, maybe I would be better off if I just hung back just a tiny bit, gave myself a bit more room, gave myself a bit more time, didn't get, you know, mad about this or that, and it would help them. Some people, they're not ready for that yet. You may just think I'm an old man, you know, and maybe I am, but I'm glad I'm still here, because I might not have been, and I've, you know, been on a lot of bikes, I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of opportunities to get hurt. And I haven't, apart from other people's faults, for a long time. 10 years, 11 years almost. And in those 11 years, I've had very few near misses. And in more recent years, as I'm developing it and understanding it more, it's becoming more and more effective to the point that I can just happily ride around, watch people do stupid things in front of me and carry on, and it's fine. You know, I don't let them pull out on me, because I'm just not going to be in that situation for them to do it. Hard to explain, as I say, but it does work. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. If you want to subscribe because you're new here, check out some of my other videos, I'd appreciate that too. And if you would like to help support this channel, then you can do that through Patreon. And obviously I massively appreciate my patrons, because they make this channel possible. Until the next one, bye bye.